I've been hiding my Omega scent for 3 years in Seoul until their card declined, my son paid, and now 3 billionaires are standing at my door saying we belong to them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Welcome back, my beautiful family and friends. If you're hooked in and you're ready to enjoy this story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let us begin. It started on a Tuesday night at the GS25 near Guro Digital Complex station. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting everything in that sickly yellow glow that made my exhaustion look worse than it felt. And trust me, it felt pretty damn bad. "Mama, can I get the banana milk?" Min-jae's small hand tugged at my worn jacket, his round eyes looking up at me with that hope that broke my heart every single time. I glanced at the price tag. 1,500. I had exactly 8,000 left until Friday's paycheck from my morning job at the cafe. Rent was overdue. Again. The suppressant patches I desperately needed sat on the counter in front of me, already scanned. 45,000 for a month's supply. I'd done the math 3 times while standing in line. If I bought the patches, I'd have 3,000 for food until Friday. 3 days. We could make it work. We always did. "Not tonight, baby," I whispered, running my fingers through his soft black hair. "Maybe this weekend?" "Okay." His little face fell, but he nodded. "Okay, Mama." That was the thing about Min-jae. He never threw tantrums. Never complained. At 4 years old, he already understood that we couldn't afford everything. What kind of childhood was that? What kind of mother was I? The kind who got pregnant by an alpha, who called me defective the moment he saw the positive test. The kind who'd been working 2 jobs for 3 years just to keep a roof over our heads. The kind who had to pump myself full of suppressants every day because unmated omegas were considered easy targets in this city. I was reaching for my card when I smelled them. Rain. Cedarwood. Something dark and expensive that didn't belong in a convenience store in Gurodong at 11 at night. My stomach dropped. Alphas. I grabbed Min-jae's hand instinctively, pulling him closer. 3 men stood at the counter ahead of us, and calling them men felt like an understatement. They wore suits that probably cost more than my annual rent. Identical faces, sharp jawlines, dark hair styled perfectly despite the late hour. Triplets. Beautiful. Dangerous. Definitely not from this neighborhood. The one in the middle, the tallest by maybe an inch, handed over a black card to the exhausted cashier. Even from behind, I could see the Kang Industries logo engraved on it. My breath caught. Kang Industries. The Chibol family that owned half of Seoul's skyline. What were they doing here? "Card declined," the cashier said in a flat voice, swiping it again. The alpha on the right, slightly warmer posture, less rigid than his brothers, laughed softly. "That's impossible. Try again." Swipe. Nothing. "Declined," the cashier repeated, clearly unimpressed with their designer suits and famous faces. The alpha in the middle, cold eyes, controlled movements, pulled out his phone, jaw tight. "This is ridiculous. Our accounts." "Sir, there's a line," the cashier interrupted, gesturing behind them. At us. I wanted to disappear, to melt into the cracked linoleum floor and avoid whatever was about to happen. But Min-jae had no sense of social anxiety. He stepped forward, staring at the 3 men with wide, curious eyes. "Minnie, stay close," I whispered. But he was already moving. The third alpha, the one on the left with calculating eyes and sharp features, turned first. His gaze landed on Min-jae, then slowly dragged up to me. I felt it like a physical touch. My suppressant patch burned against my neck, where I'd stuck it this morning. "Please hold. Please don't fail now." "They're pretty," Min-jae announced, pointing at the triplets with zero filter. My face went hot. Min-jae. Like the princes in my storybook. He beamed at them, completely oblivious to the tension radiating through the small store. The warm alpha, the one who'd laughed, glanced down at Min-jae, and something in his expression softened. Not predatory, just surprised, like he wasn't used to children speaking to him. "We need to leave," the cold alpha, clearly the leader, said to his brothers, pocketing his phone. "I'll handle this back at the office." They started to turn away, clearly planning to abandon their purchase, when Min-jae did the unthinkable. He pulled away from my grip before I could stop him, running up to the counter. His small hands reached into his jacket pocket, the one-eyed sewn closed twice because it kept ripping, and pulled out his crumpled emergency money. No, 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 no. Min-jae, stop. Wait. His voice rang out clear and sweet in the quiet store. He held up the 5,000 bill, standing on his tiptoes to reach the counter, offering it to the 3 frozen alphas. My mama says everyone needs help sometimes. You can have this. Time stopped. The 3 alphas turned as one, their focus laser sharp on my son, on his tiny hand, offering everything he had, on his pure, innocent smile that knew nothing about class divides or omega hierarchies or how cruel this world could be. I couldn't breathe. The warm alpha's expression cracked, something raw flickering across his face. The calculating one went utterly still, his sharp eyes moving between Min-jae and the money. And the cold alpha, the leader, his jaw loosened, shock breaking through his controlled mask. Minnie, come here right now, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I stepped forward, reaching for my son, needing to get him away from these men before. How much is it? The cold alpha asked the cashier, his voice quieter than before. 47,000, the cashier replied. The cold alpha pulled out cash, actual cash, and placed 50,000 on the counter. Then, he crouched down, slowly, deliberately, until he was at Min-jae's eye level. My protective instinct screamed. I moved forward, ready to grab my son, but the alpha's hands stayed at his sides. Non-threatening. Patient. What's your name? He asked Min-jae gently. Han Min-jae. My son announced proudly. I'm 4 years old. Min-jae. The alpha repeated, like he was tasting the name. That's a strong name. I'm Kang Seo-jun. He gestured to his brothers. That's Kang Junwoo, and that's Kang Taehyun. You're all brothers? Min-jae's eyes went wide. Like triplets? Exactly like triplets, Taehyun, the warm one, said with a small smile, crouching down beside Seo-jun. Junwoo, the calculating one, stayed standing, but his expression had shifted. Less cold, more curious. Thank you for your kindness, Min-jae. Seo-jun said seriously, like he was talking to an adult instead of a 4-year-old. But we can't take your money. This is yours. He gently pressed the 5,000 back into Min-jae's small hand. Keep it safe. But you needed help, Min-jae insisted, confused. And you offered it, Taehyun added softly. That's what matters. You have a good heart. Something in my chest twisted painfully. When was the last time someone had been this gentle with my son? This respectful? We should go, I said quietly, finally reaching Min-jae and pulling him back against my legs. Thank you for being kind to him. I turned to leave, to escape before this got more complicated, but Seo-jun stood smoothly and spoke. Wait. I froze. Alphas didn't usually use command voice in public, but there was weight in that single word. Not force. Just request. I turned back slowly. Yes? Seo-jun exchanged glances with his brothers, some silent communication, passing between them before focusing on me again. Your son showed us kindness when we were at our worst tonight. Let us return the favor. Dinner, tomorrow. Anywhere you'd like. What is my time and offer you'd? That's not necessary. Please. Taehyun added, and there was something almost desperate in his voice. Let us do this. Mama, can we? Min-jae tugged on my jacket, excitement clear in his voice. They're nice. I wanted to say no. Every survival instinct I'd honed over 3 years screamed at me to refuse, to keep my distance from alphas who could afford 50,000 without blinking. Alphas who looked at my son with something I couldn't quite name. But Min-jae was looking up at me with stars in his eyes, and I'd spent 3 years unable to give him anything he wanted. One dinner, I heard myself say, somewhere public, family-friendly. Relief washed over Seo-jun's face so clearly I almost questioned if I'd imagined his cold exterior. Of course. Can I have your number? To arrange details? This was a mistake. I knew it was a mistake. But I recited my number anyway, watching as Junwoo input it into his phone with quick, efficient movements. We'll message you tomorrow morning, Junwoo said, his voice smoother than his brother's. Thank you for agreeing. Thank the appas, Minnie, I prompted, using the word before I could stop myself. They weren't his appas, They were strangers. Rich, dangerous strangers. But Min-jae beamed. Thank you, Apis. All three alphas went still. Taehyun made a sound low in his throat, something between surprise and longing. Junwoo's calculating expression cracked, showing something vulnerable underneath. And Seo Jun's eyes flashed gold for just a second before returning to their normal dark brown. You're welcome, Min-jae. Seo Jun said softly, and his voice carried a promise I didn't understand. I grabbed my suppressant patches from the counter, paid quickly, and practically dragged Min-jae toward the door. Bye, Apis. Min-jae waved enthusiastically over my shoulder. They waved back. All three of them. Still standing there. Still watching us. It wasn't until we were 2 blocks away, safely inside our tiny office-style apartment with the door locked, that I let myself collapse against the wall. What had I just agreed to? My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Unknown. This is Kang Seo-jun. Sleep well, Jiwoo. We'll see you tomorrow. I stared at the message. I'd never told them my name. My suppressant patch chose that moment to peel slightly at the edge, weakened by sweat and stress. I pressed it back down firmly, but my hands were shaking. Min-jae was already in his pajamas, climbing into our shared bed with his worn rabbit plushie. Mama, I like them, he said sleepily. They smiled at me like you do. Like I'm special. My throat tightened. You are special, baby. So special. Do you think they'll really have dinner with us? I think so. Good. He yawned, snuggling deeper into the blankets. I want to show them my drawings. And tell them about school. And, another yawn. And maybe they can be our family. My heart stopped. Minnie, they're just being nice. But he was already asleep, breathing soft and even, dreaming of things I couldn't give him. I lay down beside him, staring at the ceiling with its water stains and cracks. One dinner. That's all it would be. Then we'd go back to our life, and they'd go back to theirs, and everything would return to normal. My phone buzzed again. Unknown. By the way, you dropped this at the store. An image loaded. My employee ID card from the cafe. With my full name, photo, and work address clearly visible. Unknown. We'll return it tomorrow. Sweet dreams, Omega. My blood went cold. They knew. They knew what I was. They'd known from the moment in the store, probably caught some trace of my scent despite the suppressants. And now they had my name, my face, my workplace, my phone number. Now they could find me whenever they wanted. I pulled Min-jae closer, breathing in his baby shampoo scent, and tried to convince myself that this was fine, that we'd be fine. But deep down, in the part of me I'd tried to bury for 3 years, I knew the truth. Everything had just changed. And there was no going back. I didn't sleep. How could I, knowing 3 alphas had my information, my son's face memorized, and apparently zero intention of letting us disappear back into our quiet, invisible life? At 6 a.m., my phone buzzed. Kang Seo-jun, good morning. Did you sleep well? I stared at the message, then at Min-jae still curled up beside me, his small hand clutching his rabbit plushie. The morning light filtered through our thin curtains, highlighting every crack in our walls, every sign of our poverty. What was I doing? What was I thinking, agreeing to dinner with men who lived in a completely different world? I typed back quickly. I'm sorry, but I don't think dinner is a good idea. Thank you for being kind to Min-jae. Please forget about us. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Kang Seo-jun, no. That was it. Just no. My fingers trembled as I typed. Excuse me? Kang Seo-jun, we made a promise to Min-jae. We don't break promises to children. Dinner. Tonight, 6 p.m. I'll send you the address. You can't just decide that. Kang Seo-jun. We already decided. Together. Last night. You agreed. I changed my mind. Kang Seo-jun, then change it back. The audacity. The absolute nerve of this alpha to just command me like I had no say in my own life, my own choices. Kang Taehyun, stop scaring him. A new number. The warm brother. Kang Taehyun. Please ignore Seo-jun. He's terrible at texting. What he means is, we would be honored if you'd still join us for dinner. Min-jae seemed excited, and we'd hate to disappoint him. No pressure. Your choice entirely. Kang Junwoo. Though we do have your work schedule and could simply visit you at the cafe if you prefer. A third number, the calculating one. Kang Junwoo. That was a joke. Seo Jun is glaring at me. We won't stalk you. Probably. Kang Taehyun. Definitely won't stalk you. Junwoo. Stop helping. Kang Seo Jun. 6 p.m. I'll pick you up. I stared at my phone, watching these three powerful alphas bicker via text like children, and felt something dangerous bubble up in my chest. Amusement. No, absolutely not. I wasn't going to find them charming. Me, I have work until 5. I can't make 6. Kang Seo Jun, what cafe? Me, why? Kang Seo Jun, so I can buy it and give you the day off. I actually laughed out loud. He couldn't be serious. Me, you can't just buy a cafe because I have a shift. Kang Seo Jun, watch me. Kang Taehyun, Hyung. You're doing it again. Kang Junwoo. For the record, he's not joking. He's already looking up the property records. Kang Taehyun. What time works for you? Ji-woo. We'll adjust to your schedule. Promise. I should block them. Should delete these numbers and pretend last night never happened. Should protect Min-jae from getting attached to people who would eventually disappear from our lives because that's what always happened. But then Min-jae stirred beside me, blinking sleepy eyes open. Mama? His voice was soft, confused. Why are you awake? Just checking messages, baby. Is it the appas? He sat up immediately, all traces of sleep vanishing. Are we seeing them today? Can I wear my good shirt? The blue one? My heart cracked. His good shirt. The one with a small stain on the collar that I couldn't get out no matter how many times I washed it. The one he saved for special occasions that never came. Minnie. Please, Mama? His eyes were so bright, so hopeful. I want to show them my drawings from school. Teacher said my cat was really good. Maybe they like cats? I looked at my son, my beautiful, kind, innocent son who'd offered his emergency money to strangers because he believed everyone deserved help, who thought the world was good because I'd tried so hard to shield him from how cruel it really was. How could I take this away from him? Me, 7 p.m. After my shift. And I'm bringing Min-jae. Kang Seo Jun. Obviously. He's the whole reason we're doing this. Kang Taehyun, we wouldn't want it any other way. Kang Junwoo. I'll make reservations. Any dietary restrictions? Me, nothing expensive. Please. Something casual where Min-jae won't feel out of place. A long pause. Kang Seo Jun. Understood. Casual. Family-friendly. Nothing that will make either of you uncomfortable. Kang Taehyun. We'll pick you up at your apartment? Or would you prefer to meet there? The thought of them seeing where we lived, really seeing it in daylight, seeing the water damage and the broken heater and the way 3 years of poverty had marked every surface made my stomach turn. Me. We'll meet you there. Send me the address. Kang Seo Jun, deal. I set my phone down and looked at Min-jae, who was practically vibrating with excitement. We're seeing them? He asked. Yes, baby. Tonight. Dinner. He threw his small arms around my neck, squeezing tight. Thank you, Mama. Thank you. Thank you. I held him close, breathing in his familiar scent, and tried to ignore the warning bells ringing in my head. This was temporary. 1 dinner, maybe 2. Then they'd realize we were too different, too complicated, too much work. They'd disappear like everyone else. They had to. Because the alternative that they might actually stay was more terrifying than anything else. I got through my morning shift at the cafe on autopilot, my mind replaying last night over and over. The way Seo Jun's eyes had flashed gold. The way Taehyun had smiled at Min-jae like he was precious. The way Junwoo had looked at me like he was solving a puzzle. Ji-woo, you okay? My coworker Mina touched my shoulder, concerned. You've been staring at that espresso machine for 5 minutes. Sorry, just tired. You're always tired, she said softly. Not accusing, just sad. When's the last time you did something for yourself? Never. The answer was never. At 3 p.m., my phone buzzed. Kang Junwoo. The restaurant is called Hanam Pig House. It's a Korean BBQ place in Itaewon. Very casual, Families everywhere. Min-jae will love it. Kang Junwoo. Also, I took the liberty of ordering ahead. I hope that's all right. I didn't want Min-jae to have to wait for food. Something in my chest squeezed. He'd thought about my son. About making sure Min-jae wouldn't be hungry or impatient. Me, thank you. That's very thoughtful. Kang Junwoo. We're trying. 2 words. But they felt like a promise. At 6 p.m., I picked up Min-jae from the neighbor who watched him during my shifts. He was wearing his blue shirt, his hair carefully combed, clutching a folder of drawings. Ready, baby? Ready. We took the subway to Itaewon, Min-jae chattering the entire way about what he wanted to tell the Appas. I listened, memorizing every word, trying to prepare myself for the inevitable disappointment when this ended. The restaurant was exactly as Junwoo described: loud, warm, filled with families and laughter. Not pretentious, not intimidating. They'd chosen well. I spotted them immediately. 3 identical men in casual clothes, jeans and sweaters instead of suits, sitting at a corner table. They stood the moment they saw us. Min-jae ran ahead, and I watched in shock as Taehyun crouched down to catch him, letting my son crash into his arms. You came. Min-jae laughed. We promised. Didn't we? Taehyun ruffled his hair gently. Seo Jun's eyes found mine across the restaurant, and something in his expression made my breath catch. Relief. Like he'd been genuinely worried we wouldn't show. Jiwoo, he said as I approached. Just my name, but it sounded different in his voice. Thank you for choosing somewhere like this, I said quietly. Min-jae loves Korean barbecue. We know, Junwoo said. And when I looked at him confused, he added, you mentioned it. Last night, when Min-jae was talking about his favorite foods. I didn't even remember. But they did. They'd remembered everything. And as I watched Min-jae show them his drawings, as I watched 3 powerful alphas give my son their complete attention, like he was the most important person in the world, I realized I was in serious trouble. Because I was starting to believe this might be real. I realized I was in serious trouble. Because I was starting to believe this might be real. Mama, sit here. Min-jae patted the seat beside him, already settled between Taehyun and Junwoo like he belonged there. Like this was normal. I slid into the chair slowly, hyper-aware of Seo Jun directly across from me. His eyes tracked my every movement, the way I smoothed down my work uniform, the way my hand trembled slightly as I reached for the water glass, the way I couldn't quite meet his gaze. You didn't have to order ahead, I said quietly, noticing the banchan already spread across the table, the meat already being prepared by a server. I could have paid. No, Seo Jun said simply. Excuse me? You're not paying. Not tonight. Not ever when you're with us. My spine stiffened. I can pay for my own son. We know you can, Junwoo interrupted smoothly, his tone diplomatic. You've been doing it alone for 3 years. You're incredibly strong, Jiwoo. But tonight, let us handle it. Please. The please softened the command, made it a request instead of an order. I didn't know how to respond to that. Look, Appa. Min-jae held up his folder, pulling out the first drawing with sticky fingers. I made this at school. Taehyun took the paper carefully, like it was made of glass. Wow. Is this a cat? It's a superhero cat. Min-jae explained enthusiastically. He only has 3 legs because the bad guys hurt him, but he still fights because he's brave. Something flickered across Taehyun's face. 3 legs but still fighting. That's the bravest kind of hero, isn't it? Like Mama. Min-jae beamed at me. Mama fights every day, even when he's tired. The table went silent. 3 pairs of eyes locked on me with an intensity that made my skin burn. I wanted to disappear. To explain that I wasn't fighting anything, just surviving. That there was nothing heroic about barely making rent. Your mama is very brave, Seo Jun said quietly, his voice carrying weight I didn't understand. The server brought the first round of meat, and Junwoo immediately started grilling it with practiced efficiency. Min-jae watched, fascinated, as the meat sizzled and cooked. Have you eaten today? Junwoo asked me, not looking up from the grill. I had coffee. That's not food, Taehyun said, frowning. I was busy. You're always busy, Seo Jun cut in. 2 jobs. Raising a child alone. When do you eat? When do you sleep? That's none of your business, I said, but the words came out weaker than I intended. It is now, Seo Jun replied, and there was no room for argument in his tone. Junwoo placed perfectly cooked meat on my plate, then Minjae's, then filled our bowls with rice. The movements were efficient, caring, natural, like he'd done this 1,000 times. Eat, he said simply. Minjae dug in immediately, making happy sounds that reminded me how long it had been since we'd had meat that wasn't processed or on sale. My chest ached watching him. I picked up my chopsticks and took a bite. The flavor exploded on my tongue, rich, savory, perfect. When was the last time I'd eaten something that wasn't instant noodles or day-old bread from the cafe? Good? Taehyun asked, watching me. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Minjae continued showing his drawings between bites, and the three alphas gave him their complete attention. Taehyun asked questions about colors and characters. Junwoo pointed out details and praised his technique. Seo Jun listened quietly, but his eyes stayed soft, engaged. They weren't just humoring him. They genuinely cared about what my 4-year-old had to say. This one is my family, Minjae announced, holding up a drawing of 2 stick figures, one tall, one small. That's Mama, and that's me. Just you two? Taehyun asked gently. Yep. We don't need anyone else. Mama says we're a perfect team. Minjae smiled up at me. Right, Mama? Right, baby, I whispered. But Seo Jun was staring at that drawing like it had personally offended him. At the empty space around our 2 figures, at how alone we were on that page. What about grandparents? Junwoo asked carefully. Aunts? Uncles? Mama's family didn't want us. Minjae said matter-of-factly, completely unaware of the bomb he'd just dropped. And my other parent left before I was born. But it's okay. Mama is enough. I wanted to die. Right there. Just sink through the floor and disappear. All 3 alphas had gone dangerously still. Your family rejected you? Taehyun's voice was tight, controlled. Because of Minjae? Can we not talk about this? I said quickly. It's in the past. Where are they? Seo Jun asked, and there was something lethal in his tone. Your family. Where do they live? Why does it matter? Because I want to have a conversation with people who looked at this child, he gestured to Minjae, and decided he wasn't worth loving. Seo Jun. Junwoo warned quietly. But Seo Jun's eyes were blazing gold now, his alpha nature bleeding through. Someone rejected you while you were pregnant. Someone abandoned you. And you've been surviving alone for 3 years because no one stepped up to help. I don't need help. Everyone needs help. The words came out sharper than intended, and Seo Jun visibly forced himself to calm down. I'm sorry. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. How are you even still standing? Because, I have to be, I said simply. For him. Minjae, oblivious to the tension, had moved on to another drawing. This one is my wish picture. Teacher said to draw what we wish for. He held it up proudly. 3 adult figures stood beside the 2 smaller ones, all holding hands. I wished for Appas, Minjae explained. Mama works so hard, and I thought if I had a pass, they could help Mama rest. And we could be a bigger family. He looked at the 3 alphas with pure hope. Do you think my wish will come true? No one spoke. Taehyun's eyes were wet. Junwoo had gone completely still, his hand frozen over the grill. And Seo Jun looked like someone had reached into his chest and squeezed his heart. Minnie. I started, trying to find words to let him down gently, to prepare him for when these men disappeared from our lives. My phone rang. The landlord. Again. I glanced at the screen and felt my stomach drop. He never called unless it was bad news. I'm sorry, I need to take this, I said, standing quickly. Mama? Minjae looked worried. It's okay, baby. Keep showing the app as your drawings. I'll be right back. I stepped outside the restaurant, the cool night air hitting my face as I answered. Mr. Park? Han Ji-woo. I've been patient. Very patient. But the rent is 3 weeks overdue now, and I have other tenants interested in that unit. I know. I'm sorry, I'll have it by. You have until Monday morning, or you're out. I'm filing eviction papers. Wait, please, I just need. The line went dead. Monday. 3 days away. I needed 850,000 by Monday or we'd be homeless. I had 43,000 inches my account. My hands shook as I lowered the phone. 3 years. 3 years of fighting, of surviving, of doing everything right, and it still wasn't enough. I'd failed. I'd failed Min-jae. Ji-woo? I spun around. All three alphas stood there. Min-jae and Taehyun's arms looking concerned. What happened? Seo-jun asked, his eyes scanning my face. You're pale. Nothing. It's fine. Everything's fine. You're lying, Junwoo said quietly. Your scent just spiked with fear. Damn suppressants. They were supposed to hide everything. It's nothing I can't handle. How much do you need? Seo-jun asked directly. I blinked. What? The rent. How much? I'm not taking money from you. 850,000, Junwoo said, his phone in his hand. That's the average rent for officetels in Guro Digital Complex. Plus you're 3 weeks behind, so probably 2.5 million total to clear the debt and secure your housing. I stared at him. How do you? Transfer or cash? Seo-jun pulled out his phone. Stop. I stepped back. I don't need your charity. I'll figure it out. It's not charity, Taehyun said firmly. You fed us dinner last night. With kindness. With everything you had. Let us return the favor. That was of 5,000. This is completely different. Is it? Seo-jun moved closer. Your son gave us everything he had because he thought we needed help. Now we're offering you everything we have because we know you need it. What's the difference? The difference is I'm an adult, and he's a child, and I should be able to take care of us, and I don't need alphas swooping in to save me like I'm some damsel in distress. The words came out harsh, desperate, breaking at the edges. Seo-jun stopped moving. His expression softened. We don't think you're a damsel. We think you're a warrior who's been fighting alone for too long. Please, Ji-woo, Taehyun added. Let us help. Just this once. And if I say no? Then we respect that, Junwoo said, but Min-jae will still be upset when you have to move. When he has to change schools. When his whole life gets uprooted because you were too proud to accept help from people who genuinely want to give it. That hit like a punch to the gut. Because he was right. This wasn't about my pride. This was about my son's stability. His safety. His home. I'll pay you back, I whispered. Everyone. I don't care how long it takes. Deal. Seo-jun said immediately, already typing on his phone. What's your account number? I recited it numbly, feeling like I was signing away something I couldn't get back. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed. Asterisk bank alert. 3 million deposited into account asterisk 7,849. I stared at the screen. That's too much. First month is free, Junwoo said. Consider it a gift for Min-jae. I can't accept. Too late. Already sent. Seo-jun pocketed his phone. Now can we please go back inside and finish dinner? Your son was in the middle of explaining why purple suns are scientifically superior to yellow ones. I stood there, frozen, holding a phone showing more money than I'd seen in 3 years. These men, these alphas I'd known for barely 24 hours had just saved us. And I had no idea what that meant. Or what they'd want in return. I stood there, frozen, holding a phone showing more money than I'd seen in 3 years. These men, these alphas I'd known for barely 24 hours had just saved us. And I had no idea what that meant. Or what they'd want in return. Ji-woo? Taehyun's voice was gentle, concerned. Are you okay? Was I okay? I didn't know. My chest felt tight. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. 3 million won. Just like that. Like it was nothing to them. Like I was worth saving. I need air, I whispered. You're outside, Junwoo pointed out. More air. Different air. My vision blurred. I can't breathe. Seo-jun moved immediately, his hand on my shoulder, steady and warm. Look at me. Ji-woo, look at me. I forced my eyes up to meet his. Breathe with me, he said calmly. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. He demonstrated, his chest rising and falling in a controlled rhythm. I tried to match it, gulping air like a drowning person. That's it. Again. You're safe. Min-jae is safe. Everything is okay. Mama? Min-jae's small voice cracked through my panic. He was reaching for me from Taehyun's arms, his face scrunched with worry. Mama, don't be sad. I took him immediately, holding him close, burying my face in his hair. His familiar scent baby shampoo and innocence grounded me. I'm okay, baby. Mama's okay. But I wasn't. Not really. Because accepting their help meant admitting I couldn't do this alone. Meant admitting that 3 years of fighting, of pride, of insisting I didn't need anyone, it had all been a lie. I did need help. I always had. Let's go back inside, Taehyun suggested softly. Finish dinner, we can talk after. I nodded numbly, letting them guide me back to our table. The other diners barely glanced at us, too wrapped up in their own lives to notice mine falling apart. We sat down. Junwoo immediately placed more food on my plate, his movements careful, deliberate. Min-jae climbed back into his seat between the alphas, chattering again about his drawings like nothing had happened. Like my whole world hadn't just shifted. I ate mechanically, tasting nothing. My phone felt heavy in my pocket, that bank notification burning like a brand. You're scared, Seo-jun said quietly, his eyes on me. I didn't deny it. Of us? Or of accepting help? Both? I admitted. I don't know you. I don't know what you want from me. From us. And my voice cracked. I've been hurt before. By an alpha who promised things and then... I stopped, glancing at Min-jae. He was busy showing Taehyun how to properly fold a napkin into a paper airplane. Min-jae's father, Junwoo said. Not a question. I nodded. Tell us, Seo-jun said. Please. Help us understand. I shouldn't. I should keep that pain buried where it belonged, locked away where it couldn't touch us anymore. But something about the way they looked at me, not with pity, but with genuine concern, made the words spill out. His name was Kang Min-ho. I started, my voice barely above a whisper. We met at university. He was charming, attentive, everything I thought I wanted. When I presented as Omega at 19, he was there. Told me he'd protect me, that we'd be together forever. Seo-jun's jaw tightened. I believed him. I was young and stupid, and so desperate to belong to someone that I ignored every red flag. The way he'd get possessive when other alphas looked at me. The way he controlled what I wore. Where I went. Who I talked to. I thought it was love. It wasn't, Taehyun said darkly. No. It was ownership. I swallowed hard. When I got pregnant, I thought he'd be happy. We talked about family, about a future. But the moment I told him, the memory still cut like glass. He looked at me like I was trash. Said I'd trapped him. Called me defective because I got pregnant so easily. Said I must have done it on purpose. He's wrong, Junwoo said flatly. That's not how biology works. I know that now. But back then? I believed him. He left that same night. Blocked my number. When I tried to reach him, his family threatened legal action if I contacted them again. Said I was a gold digger, trying to trap their precious son. Min-jae laughed at something Taehyun said, completely oblivious to the conversation happening around him. My family wasn't much better, I continued. The words flowing now like poison I'd been holding in too long. Traditional. Conservative. An unmated Omega getting pregnant out of wedlock? I brought shame to the family name. My father gave me 2 choices, give the baby up for adoption, or leave, and never come back. You chose Min-jae, Seo-jun said softly. I chose Min-jae, I confirmed. Every time. I'd choose him every time. Taehyun was staring at me with something fierce and protective in his eyes. Junwoo's hands were clenched on the table, and Seo-jun looked like he was barely controlling his rage. Where is he now? Seo-jun asked, his voice dangerously calm. Min-ho. I don't know. I haven't seen him in 3 years. Haven't heard from him. He wanted nothing to do with us, so we wanted nothing to do with him. Child support? Junwoo asked. I laughed bitterly. He disappeared before Min-jae was born, changed his number, moved. I tried to file through the courts, but his family has money and lawyers, and I shook my head. I couldn't afford to fight. So, I gave up, decided we'd be better off without him anyway. You're not better off, Seo-jun said bluntly. You're surviving. Barely. Working yourself to death because one man decided to be a coward. I'm fine. You're not fine. The words came out sharp, and several diners glanced over. Seo Jun lowered his voice. You're exhausted, malnourished. One emergency away from losing everything. And you're still telling yourself you're fine because that's what you've had to tell yourself to survive. Tears burned my eyes. What else am I supposed to do? Let us help, Taehyun said firmly. Really help. Not just dinner and rent money. Let us. He hesitated, glancing at his brothers. Let us be there. For both of you. Why? The question ripped from my throat. Why do you care? You don't know us. We're nothing to you. You're not nothing. Jun Woo interrupted. He stopped, something flickering across his face. We can't explain it yet, but you're not nothing. Neither is Min Jae. That's not an answer. It's the only one we have right now, Seo Jun said. Just trust us. Please. For a little while. Let us prove we're not him. I wanted to say no. Wanted to protect myself, protect Min Jae from the inevitable hurt when they realized we were too much work, too complicated, too broken. But Min Jae chose that moment to look up at me, his face glowing with happiness. Mama, Taehyun Appa says we can come to their house sometime. They have a big TV and lots of space to play. Can we? Please? 3 pairs of eyes watched me, waiting, hoping. I was so tired of fighting alone. Okay, I whispered. Okay. Relief washed over their faces so clearly it almost hurt to see. But, I added firmly, if anything feels wrong. If Min Jae is uncomfortable for even a second, we're gone. No questions. No arguments. None. Agreed. All 3 said simultaneously. Junwoo pulled out his phone. I'm going to make some calls. About Minho. About the child support you're owed. You don't have to. 3 years, he said coldly. 3 years of payments. With interest. He owes you that at minimum. Thanks. His family will fight it. Let them try. Something dangerous flickered in Junwoo's eyes. We're Kong Industries. We don't lose. A chill ran down my spine. These men were powerful, really powerful, and they were pointing that power at someone who'd hurt me. It should have scared me. Instead, for the first time in 3 years, I felt protected. There's something else? Seo Jun said carefully. Something we need to tell you. About why he glanced at Min Jae, clearly not wanting to say too much. About why we're so invested. What do you mean? The 3 brothers exchanged looks, some silent communication passing between them. Not here, Taehyun said finally. Come to our place. After we drop Min Jae home. Just for an hour. We need to explain something important. Every survival instinct screamed at me to refuse. To not go anywhere alone with 3 alphas I barely knew. But something in their expressions, nervous, hopeful, almost vulnerable, made me pause. Will I be safe? I asked directly. Always, Seo Jun promised. You'll always be safe with us. I looked at Min Jae, happily eating his dessert ice cream the alphas had ordered without asking, knowing he'd want it. These men had fed my son, saved our home, listened to my pain without judgment. Maybe, just maybe, they deserved a chance. 1 hour, I agreed. Then I'm going home. Seo Jun's smile was small but genuine. 1 hour. But deep down, I knew. Nothing about this would stay simple. Nothing about them would let me walk away unchanged. And I was terrified of what that meant. Nothing about this would stay simple. Nothing about them would let me walk away unchanged. And I was terrified of what that meant. Dinner ended with Min Jae falling asleep against Taehyun's shoulder, his small body finally giving in to exhaustion after all the excitement. The alpha held him carefully, naturally, like he'd done it 1,000 times before. He's out, Taehyun whispered, adjusting Min Jae's head so it rested more comfortably. He always crashes after eating well, I said softly, standing to take him. I should get him home. Let me carry him, Taehyun offered. He's comfortable. I hesitated, every protective instinct warring with the practical reality that Taehyun was right. Min Jae was comfortable. Moving him would just wake him up cranky. Okay, I agreed. But just to the subway. We drove. Seo Jun interrupted, already standing. We'll take you both home. You don't have to. Jiwoo. Junwoo's voice was patient but firm. Stop fighting every kindness, please. It's exhausting for both of us. And that startled a laugh out of me. Sorry, old habit. We noticed, Seo Jun said, but there was warmth in his tone. We left the restaurant, Taehyun carrying Min-jae, while Junwoo settled the bill despite my weak protests. The night air was cool, refreshing after the warmth of the restaurant. A sleek black car waited at the curb, expensive, luxury, completely out of place in this neighborhood. A driver stood beside it, opening the door as we approached. You have a driver? I asked stupidly. We have several, Junwoo said like it was normal. This is Mr. Kim. He's been with our family for 20 years. The older man nodded politely at me. Good evening. Hi. I managed, feeling completely out of my depth. Taehyun slid into the back seat carefully, still holding Min-jae. I climbed in after him, and Seo Jun followed, sitting on my other side. Junwoo took the front passenger seat. Where to? Mr. Kim asked. I rattled off my address, hyper-aware of how close Seo Jun was sitting, how Taehyun's shoulder pressed against mine as he adjusted Min-jae, how their combined scents rain and cedar and something uniquely alpha filled the enclosed space. My suppressant patch itched. I resisted the urge to check if it was still in place. The drive was quiet. Min-jae slept peacefully, his soft snores filling the silence. I stared out the window, watching Seoul pass by in blurs of neon and shadow. You're thinking too loud, Seo Jun said quietly beside me. Is that possible? With you? Yes. Your scent keeps spiking with anxiety. I turned to glare at him. Stop smelling me. Can't help it. His lips curved slightly. You're in an enclosed space with 3 alphas. Your scent is everywhere. My face heated. That's inappropriate to mention. Is it? He tilted his head. You smell like honey and vanilla and fear. I'd rather address the fear than ignore it. I'm not afraid. You're terrified. He corrected gently. Of us. Of this situation. Of accepting help. Of letting people get close. His eyes found mine in the dim light. Of being hurt again. I couldn't argue with that. We're not him, Taehyun added softly from my other side, still cradling Min-jae. We're not going to hurt you. You don't know that, I whispered. You can't promise that. We can, Seo Jun said. And we do. The car pulled up outside my building, a dingy officetale with flickering lobby lights and cracked concrete. It looked even worse next to their luxury vehicle. We're here, I said unnecessarily. Taehyun carefully transferred Min-jae to my arms. My son mumbled something in his sleep, nuzzling against my chest without waking. Thank you, I said quietly. For dinner. For everything. Come with us, Seo Jun said suddenly. To our place, just for an hour. Let us explain. Min-jae needs to sleep. Bring him. We have guest rooms. He can sleep there while we talk. I should say no. Should take my son upstairs, lock the door, and pretend this night never happened. But curiosity burned in my chest. What did they need to tell me? What was so important it couldn't wait? 1 hour, I heard myself say. And if I want to leave, you take us home immediately. Deal. All 3 said. I climbed back into the car, Min-jae heavy and warm in my arms. Mr. Kim pulled away from the curb, heading toward Gangnam. Toward whatever truth they were about to tell me. The drive took 20 minutes. We pulled up to Signal Seoul, the luxury residence in Lotte World Tower. The tallest building in Seoul. I'd seen it from across the city but never imagined I'd actually enter it. You live here? I breathed. Penthouse, Junwoo confirmed. Top floor. Of course. Of course they lived in the penthouse of the most expensive building in Seoul. We rode the elevator in silence, the numbers climbing higher and higher until they stopped at the very top. The doors opened directly into their apartment, not a hallway, not a lobby, straight into their home. I stepped inside and froze. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed all of Seoul spread out below like a carpet of lights. The space was enormous, open concept, modern, impossibly clean. The kind of place that belonged in magazines, not real life. Guest room is this way, Taehyun said, gesturing down a hallway. I followed him, still carrying Min-jae, trying not to gape at the artwork on the walls. The designer furniture, the sheer wealth on display. The guest room was bigger than my entire apartment. A king-size bed dominated the space, covered in soft-looking blankets. Taehyun pulled back the covers while I laid Min-jae down gently. My son didn't even stir, already deep in sleep. He'll be okay? I asked, suddenly nervous about leaving him in a strange place. We have monitors, Taehyun assured me, pulling out his phone to show me a camera feed of the room. You can watch him the whole time. If he wakes up, we'll hear him immediately. That should have been creepy cameras in the guest room, but instead it felt thoughtful, safe. I tucked Min-jae in, kissing his forehead gently. Sleep well, baby. Then I followed Taehyun back to the main living area where Seo-jun and Junwoo waited. They'd removed their jackets, rolled up their sleeves. Looked somehow more dangerous in casual clothes than they had in suits. Sit, Seo-jun gestured to the couch. I sat, perched on the edge, ready to run if needed. All three of them settled around me, Seo-jun in a chair opposite, Junwoo on the arm of the couch, Taehyun beside me but leaving careful distance. So, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. What did you need to tell me? The three brothers exchanged glances again, that silent communication that spoke of years together. Finally, Seo-jun spoke. Do you know what a fated mate is? My heart stopped. Yes. I whispered. It's rare. Almost a myth. When an alpha and omega are destined for each other. Their sense call to each other. The bond is supposed to be unbreakable. Not just alpha and omega, Junwoo corrected quietly. Sometimes, it's multiple alphas. A pack bond. Oh God. Oh God, no. You're saying I couldn't finish the sentence. We caught your scent at the convenience store, Taehyun said gently. The moment your suppressant shifted. And we knew. Knew what? But I already knew the answer. Could feel it in the way my body responded to their presence. The way my scent kept trying to break free despite the suppressants. You're ours, Seo-jun said simply. Our fated omega. We've been searching for you without knowing it our entire lives. And Min-jae, his voice softened. Your son. He's meant to be ours too. The room spun. That's impossible. It's not, Junwoo said. It's rare, yes. But not impossible. The three of us have always known we'd share a mate. We're triplets. Our bond is different. Stronger. And when we found you. I'm not available, I said desperately. I have a son. I have a life. You can't just claim me because of biology. We're not claiming you, Seo-jun interrupted firmly. We're explaining. What you do with this information is your choice. Always your choice. But the bond? The bond means nothing if you don't want it, Taehyun said softly. Yes, we feel the pull. Yes, every instinct we have screams at us to protect you, provide for you, keep you close. But we're not animals, we're men. And we would never force this on you. I stood abruptly, needing space, needing air. This is insane. We met yesterday. Yesterday. And now you're telling me we're what? Destined. Yes, all three said. I don't believe in destiny. I shot back. I believe in choice. In work. In building something real. Not just accepting some biological imperative. Then build something with us. Seo-jun stood too, his eyes intense. Not because of fate. Because you choose to. Get to know us. Let us prove we're worth choosing. And if I say no? If I walk away right now? Pain flashed across their faces, but Seo-jun answered steadily. Then we respect that. We'll leave you alone. You'll never hear from us again. Liar, I whispered. You just paid my rent. You know where I live, where I work. You can't just forget about us. We can't forget, Taehyun admitted. But we won't pursue. If you want us gone, we're gone. I looked at all three of them, these powerful, gorgeous, impossible men who claimed I was their fated mate. And I wanted to believe them. God, I wanted to believe that three someones could want me that badly, could see me and Min-jae as something precious instead of broken. But I'd believed in Alpha's promises before, and it had destroyed me. I need time, I said finally. I need to think. Take all the time you need, Junwoo said. But know this, Seo-jun added, stepping closer. We meant what we said. We're not him. We're not going to abandon you. We're not going to hurt Min-jae. We're going to prove, every single day, that we're worth trusting. Even if I never accept the bond? Even then, he promised. The certainty in his voice nearly broke me. I should go, I whispered. I should take Min-jae and go home, and… It's late. Taehyun interrupted gently. Min-jae is sleeping. Stay. Tonight. Both of you. The guest room is yours. Lock the door if you want. We won't disturb you. 1. I can't. Please, Seo-jun said, and that single word carried so much weight. Let us take care of you. Just for tonight. Tomorrow you can decide if you want us in your life or not. I was so tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of surviving. Tired of pretending. I didn't want someone to lean on. Just tonight, I agreed. Tomorrow I'm going home. Relief flooded their expressions. Whatever you need, Junwoo said. I walked back to the guest room on shaking legs, my mind racing. Fated mates. Pack bonds. Destiny. It was insane. But as I climbed into bed beside Min-jae, breathing in his familiar scent, I couldn't deny the truth. Being around them felt right in a way nothing else ever had. And that terrified me more than anything. I didn't sleep. How could I, knowing what they'd told me? Fated mates. Pack bonds. Destiny wrapping around my throat, like a noose disguised as silk. Beside me, Min-jae slept peacefully, his small chest rising and falling in perfect rhythm. Innocent. Unaware that his mother had just been claimed by 3 alphas who believed biology made us belong to them. My phone showed 3:47 a.m. when I finally gave up on sleep. I slipped out of bed carefully, making sure not to wake Min-jae, and crept to the door. I should stay in the room. Should lock the door like they'd offered. Should protect myself from whatever pull I felt toward them. Instead, I opened it. The penthouse was dark except for the city lights streaming through those massive windows. Seoul glittered below like fallen stars, beautiful and distant and completely unreal. Like this entire situation. I padded barefoot across the cold marble floor, drawn to those windows. To the view that showed how far I'd climbed from that convenience store just 24 hours ago. Can't sleep? I spun around. Seo-jun stood in the shadows near the kitchen, wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, holding a glass of water. His hair was messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. You scared me, I whispered. Sorry. He moved into the light, and I saw the exhaustion on his face. I couldn't sleep either. Guilty conscience? His lips quirked. Something like that. We stood there in the darkness, the silence stretching between us. Not uncomfortable, just heavy with everything unsaid. Do you regret telling me? I asked finally. About the bond? No. His answer was immediate. But I regret the timing. The pressure. You just accepted our help with rent, and then we dropped this on you. It wasn't fair. None of this is fair, I said quietly. I didn't ask for a fated mate. I didn't ask for 3 of them. I just wanted to survive. To give Min-jae a decent life. And now? Now I don't know what I want. I turned back to the window. You're asking me to trust you. To believe in something I can't see or control. To put my son's future in the hands of 3 men I met yesterday. We're not asking you to decide tonight. But I have to decide eventually. I interrupted. And what happens when I choose wrong? When this bond or whatever it is isn't enough? When you realize we're too much work? Too complicated? Too broken? You're not broken. Yes, I am. The words came out harsh. Minho broke me. My family broke me. 3 years of barely surviving broke me. I'm held together with suppressants and pride and sheer stubbornness. And you're asking me to hand all of that over to you on the promise that biology knows better than I do. Seo-jun set down his glass and moved closer. Not touching, just close enough that I could feel his warmth. You think the bond makes you weak, he said quietly. But you're wrong. The bond doesn't take your strength, it multiplies it. You wouldn't lose yourself. You'd gain us. Our strength. Our resources. Our absolute refusal to let anything hurt you or Min-jae ever again. That's what Minho said too. My voice cracked. That he'd protect me. That I'd never have to worry again. And then, he left the moment things got hard. I'm not. I know. You're not him. You keep saying that. But how do I know? How do I trust that this time will be different? You don't, Seo-jun admitted. Not yet. Trust isn't given, it's earned. And we'll spend every day earning yours if you let us. I wanted to believe him. God. I wanted to so badly it hurt. But before I could respond, voices drifted from down the hallway. Junwoo and Taehyun, speaking in low tones. Can't tell him yet, Taehyun was saying. My body went rigid. We have to, Junwoo argued. He deserves to know the truth before. Before what? Before he runs? Because that's exactly what he'll do if we tell him now. Taehyun's right. A third voice. Had Seojun moved? No, he was still beside me, frozen. This was a recording? A phone call on speaker? We need to secure the bond first. Once it's complete, he can't leave. Then we can explain everything. My blood turned to ice. Once the bond is complete, he can't leave. That's not right. Junwoo's voice continued from the hallway. We agreed no deception. Full transparency. And we will be transparent, Taehyun insisted. After he's bonded, after he's legally ours, after there's no risk of him running back to that apartment and disappearing. I couldn't breathe. Everything they'd said, every promise, every gentle touch and soft word. It was all a trap. A beautiful, perfect trap designed to make me trust them just long enough to take away my choice. Jiwoo, Seojun reached for me. I jerked away from his touch like it burned. Don't. That's not. You don't understand the context. I understand perfectly. My voice shook with rage and betrayal. You said it was my choice. You said you'd never force me, but you were planning to trap me all along. No. Once the bond is complete, I can't leave? I repeated his words back at him. That's not choice. That's ownership. The voices in the hallway had stopped. Junwoo and Taehyun appeared, their faces pale. You heard, Taehyun said flatly. Every word. I backed away from all three of them. What else were you planning to hide? What other truths were you going to wait to tell me until after I couldn't escape? It's not like that, Junwoo started. Then what is it like? I demanded. Explain to me how secure the bond first translates to anything other than trap him before he realizes what we really want? We want you safe. Taehyun's voice rose. We want you protected. Do you have any idea how many alphas would kill to claim an unmated omega? How vulnerable you and Minjae are every single day. So, your solution is to take away my freedom? To bond me without my full consent? We would never bond you without consent. Seojun tried again. But you'd manipulate me into giving it. The words exploded out of me. You'd use money and kindness and my son's happiness to back me into a corner where saying no became impossible. That's not consent. That's coercion. Jiwoo, please. Taehyun moved toward me. Stay away from me. I was already moving toward the guest room. Toward Minjae. Toward escape. Stay away from both of us. Where are you going? Seojun's voice was strained. Home, where I should have gone hours ago. It's 4 in the morning. I don't care. I reached the guest room door. We're leaving. Now. And if any of you try to stop me, if you follow us, if you contact us again, I'll file a restraining order. You're overreacting, Junwoo said. I whirled on him. Am I? Because from where I'm standing, I just discovered that 3 alphas I trusted for all of 12 hours were planning to trap me in a bond I can't escape. That sounds like exactly the right amount of reacting. I slammed into the guest room, my hands shaking as I gathered Minjae into my arms. He mumbled in his sleep, confused. Mama? We're going home, baby. It's okay. We're going home. I grabbed our things, what few we had, and headed for the door. All 3 alphas stood in the living room, identical expressions of devastation on their faces. Please, Seojun said, and his voice broke on the word. Please don't go. Let us explain properly. There's nothing to explain. I adjusted Minjae higher on my hip. You showed me exactly who you are. Thank you for that. 1. Jiwoo. The rent money. I cut him off. I'll pay back everyone. Every single one. I don't want anything from you. I don't want to owe you anything. It was a gift. It was a down payment, I corrected coldly. On ownership you'll never have. I walked to the elevator, pressed the button. The doors opened immediately, like even the universe wanted me gone. We're not giving up. Taehyun called out as I stepped inside. We'll prove you're wrong about us. Don't bother. The doors started to close. Through the narrowing gap, I saw 3 alphas standing in their perfect penthouse, looking absolutely shattered. Good. Let them hurt. Let them feel a fraction of what I'd felt when I realized I'd almost made the same mistake twice. The doors closed. Minjae stirred against my chest. Mama! Where are the appas? Gone, baby, I whispered, my voice breaking. The appas are gone. And this time, I'd make sure they stayed that way. Even if it killed me. The elevator descended in silence, each floor counting down like my heartbeat. Minjae's weight in my arms was the only thing keeping me grounded, keeping me from completely falling apart. The lobby was empty at 4 in the morning. The night security guard looked up, surprised to see someone leaving at this hour, but didn't comment. I walked past him with my head high, refusing to show how badly I was breaking inside. Outside, the pre-dawn air was cold. Seoul was quiet in that eerie way cities get before sunrise, like the world was holding its breath. I had no car. No money for a taxi. The subway wouldn't run for another hour. I started walking. Mama, I'm cold. Minjae mumbled against my neck. I know, baby. Just a little longer. I'd walked maybe 2 blocks when my phone buzzed. Then again. And again. Kang Seojun, please come back. Let us explain. Kang Taehyun. You're walking in Gangnam at 4 a.m. with a child. That's not safe. Please let us take you home at least. Kang Junwoo. The conversation you overheard was from 3 weeks ago. Before we met you. Before we knew anything about you. Context matters. I stopped walking. 3 weeks ago? My finger hovered over the messages. I should delete them. Block their numbers. Erase every trace of this disaster. But something in Junwoo's message nagged at me. Before we met you. Another buzz. Kang Junwoo. We were discussing what we'd do if we ever found our fated mate. Hypothetically. We've had this conversation for years, how to protect an omega in a world that sees them as prey. We didn't handle it well. We know that now. My hands shook. Kang Seojun, we would never trap you. Never. The bond doesn't work that way anyway. It requires mutual acceptance. Mutual choice. You could reject it even after it forms. We can't force something you don't want. Kang Taehyun. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for how that sounded. I was scared of losing you before we'd even had a chance. But that doesn't excuse planning around your fear instead of trusting you with the truth. Minjae shivered against me. I looked around. We were in an unfamiliar neighborhood. No businesses open, nowhere warm to wait. I was stubborn, but I wasn't stupid. I need to go home. Now. Kang Seojun, we're already in the car. 2 minutes away. They'd followed anyway. Part of me wanted to be angry about that. The other part, the practical part that had a cold child in my arms, was relieved. The black car pulled up 90 seconds later. Mr. Kim was driving. All 3 alphas sat in the back. The door opened. Please, Seojun said quietly. Just let us take you home. No talking, no pressure. Just home. I climbed in because Minjae was shivering, and I wasn't a martyr. Taehyun immediately shrugged off his jacket and wrapped it around Minjae without a word. The drive was silent. Painful. I could feel their eyes on me. But I stared out the window, jaw tight, refusing to engage. We pulled up to my building. I moved to open the door, but Junwoo spoke. Wait, please, just listen for 30 seconds. Then we'll leave you alone if that's what you want. I didn't know them anything. Didn't need to hear excuses or explanations. But I paused. That conversation was 3 weeks ago, Junwoo said carefully. We were talking about our fears. About what we'd do if we found our omega and they ran before giving us a chance. We were scared of exactly what just happened, that our mate would be too hurt by the world to trust us. So you decided manipulation was the answer? My voice was ice. No, Seojun cut in. We decided transparency was the answer. That's why we told you about the bond tonight. Immediately. Before anything happened. Before any feelings developed. Because we wanted you to have all the information up front. That recording you heard was us at our worst? Taehyun added. Scared. Desperate. Discussing worst-case scenarios that we'd never actually act on. It doesn't represent who we want to be for you. I finally looked at them. 3 identical faces, 3 different expressions of misery. How do I know that's true? I asked quietly. How do I know this isn't just better manipulation? You don't, Seojun admitted. You have to decide if you believe us or not. And I know you have no reason to. We're strangers. We're alphas. We're everything you've learned to fear. He leaned forward slightly. But ask yourself this. If we wanted to trap you, why tell you about the bond at all? Why not just court you normally? Let the bond form naturally without you knowing what it was? I opened my mouth. Closed it. He had a point. We told you because we respect you. Junwoo continued. Because your choice matters more than our desires. Yes, we want you, desperately. But not like that. Never like that. Minjae stirred against me, blinking awake. Mama? Are we home? Almost, baby. He looked around, seeing the alphas, and his face lit up. Apis, you came. The three of them looked at my son with such naked longing it hurt to see. We came, Taehyun said softly. We'll always come when you need us. Even when Mama's mad at you? Minjae asked innocently. Especially then, Seo-jun replied. I needed to go. Needed to get inside before I did something stupid like believe them again. Thank you for the ride, I said stiffly, opening the door. Jiwoo, Seo-jun started. Don't contact me. I interrupted. I need time. Space. I need to figure out what I believe without you in my ear, telling me what to think. Pain flashed across their faces, but they nodded. How long? Taehyun asked quietly. I don't know. Days? Weeks? Forever? I don't know. I repeated, climbing out with Minjae. I made it 3 steps before Junwoo's voice stopped me. Check your bank account. I turned back, confused. The 3 million won, he clarified. Check it. I pulled out my phone with my free hand, opening my banking app. The balance showed 43,000. The same amount I'd had before. What? We reversed the transfer an hour ago, Junwoo said quietly. You said you didn't want to owe us anything, so you don't. The money's gone. My throat closed. But my rent is paid. Seo-jun finished. Directly to your landlord. From an anonymous donor. You owe us nothing. No debt, no obligation, no strings. I stared at them, my mind reeling. We also contacted Kang Minho's lawyers, Junwoo added. The child support case is moving forward. With or without our involvement in your life, you'll get what you're owed. Because it's right. Not because it benefits us. Why? The word came out broken. Why would you do this if you think I'm leaving? Because you deserve it. Taehyun said simply. Because Minjae deserves it. Bond or no bond. Fate or no fate. You deserve to be taken care of. Tears burned my eyes. I blinked them back furiously. Go, Seo-jun said gently. Take your time. Figure out what you want. We'll be here when you're ready. And if you're never ready, his voice cracked slightly. Then we'll accept that too. I turned away before they could see me cry. Bye, Apis. Minjae called out, waving over my shoulder. Bye, Minjae. They chorused, and the love in their voices was unmistakable. I carried my son inside, up the stairs, into our tiny apartment that suddenly felt even smaller after their penthouse. I locked the door, set Minjae down, and finally let myself break. Because they'd just done the one thing I never expected. They'd let me go. No demands, no pressure, no strings. They'd given me the one thing Minho never had. Choice. Real choice. And now, I had to figure out what the hell I was going to do with it. I put Minjae back to bed, though dawn was already breaking. He fell asleep immediately, exhausted from the strange night. I sat on our worn couch, staring at my phone. At the messages from 3 alphas who claimed to be my fated mates. At the bank balance that showed they'd kept their word. At the life I'd built from nothing, alone, terrified, convinced I'd never let anyone in again. And I realized something. I was still terrified. But maybe, just maybe, I was tired of being alone. My phone buzzed. A new message. But not from the triplets. Unknown number. Han Jiwoo. This is Attorney Choi from Shin and Associates. We represent Kang Minho. Our client wishes to discuss custody arrangements for Han Minjae. Please contact us immediately to avoid legal action. My blood ran cold. Custody? Minho had abandoned us. Disappeared. Wanted nothing to do with his son for 3 years. And now that someone was coming after him for child support, he wanted custody? My hands shook as I read the message again. Unknown number. Mr. Kang has evidence that you've been living in unstable conditions and exposing the child to unknown alphas. He's prepared to file for full custody on grounds of unfit parenting. Contact us within 48 hours or we proceed with filing. This couldn't be happening. This couldn't be real. I looked at Min-jae sleeping peacefully, his small hand clutching his rabbit plushie. Minho couldn't take him. He couldn't. I'd die first. But I had no money for lawyers. No family to back me up. No resources to fight a man whose family had wealth and power and legal teams that could crush me. I was alone. Completely alone. Unless. I looked at my phone, at the messages from 3 alphas who'd promised to help, who'd said they'd be there when I was ready. I'd pushed them away. Told them not to contact me. Sworn I'd handle everything myself because I didn't need anyone. But I did need them. God help me. I needed them. My finger hovered over Seo-jun's contact. Pride warred with desperation. And desperation won. Me, he's trying to take Min-jae. Minho. His lawyers just threatened custody. I don't know what to do. The response was immediate. Kang Seo-jun, address. Now. Me. You said you'd give me space. Kang Seo-jun, fuck space. Someone threatened our pup. Address. Now. Our pup. Something in my chest cracked open at those words. I sent the address. And waited. 10 minutes felt like 10 hours. I paced the small apartment, checking on Min-jae every 30 seconds, my heart racing with each passing moment. What had I done? I'd pushed them away, sworn I didn't need them, and now I was dragging them back into my mess because I was too weak to fight alone. But this wasn't about me anymore. This was about Min-jae. And I'd burn the world down before I let Minho take him. A knock on the door, firm, controlled. Exactly 12 minutes after I'd sent that text. I opened it. All 3 of them stood there, still in the clothes from earlier, looking like they'd broken every traffic law getting here. Seo-jun's jaw was tight, his eyes blazing. Taehyun's hands were clenched into fists. Junwoo already had his phone out, typing rapidly. Show me the message, Seo-jun said without preamble. I handed him my phone with shaking hands. His eyes scanned it once, twice. Then he looked up at his brothers, and something deadly passed between them. Can I come in? He asked, his voice carefully controlled. I stepped aside. They entered my tiny apartment, these 3 massive alphas making the space feel even smaller. But instead of feeling trapped, I felt protected. Sit. Taehyun guided me gently to the couch. Breathe. We've got this. How? He has lawyers. Money. His family. His family has nothing on us. Junwoo cut in, still typing. I'm already pulling his records. Every transaction. Every communication. Every place he's been for the last 3 years. You can do that? We're Kong Industries, Seo-jun said flatly. We can do anything. He crouched in front of me, his eyes level with mine. Listen to me very carefully. Kang Minho will not take Min-jae. He will not even get close. Do you understand? But the lawyers said. I don't care what they said. His voice was steel wrapped in silk. They're bluffing, trying to scare you into settling before we can countersue for the child support he owes. It's a standard intimidation tactic. How do you know? Because I've used it. He admitted. In business, it works on people who can't afford to fight back. His expression softened slightly. But you're not alone anymore. You have us. I pushed you away. And we came back, Taehyun interrupted. That's what Pac does. That's what family does. Junwoo looked up from his phone, his expression grim. Found him. Kang Minho. Currently living in Busan under his mother's maiden name. Been there for 2 years. He's also, he paused, glancing at me. He's engaged. Wedding in 3 months. My stomach dropped. He's what? Engaged. To an alpha from a wealthy family. Old money. Conservative. The kind that would not be happy to discover their future son-in-law has a secret child he's been hiding. Understanding dawned. He's trying to erase us. If he gets custody, he can claim he's been a responsible parent all along. If he pays me off to disappear, same result. Exactly, Seo-jun confirmed. This isn't about wanting Min-jae. This is about protecting his new life. Rage burned through my fear. He abandoned us. Disappeared. And now he wants to take my son to save his reputation? He won't. Junwoo said with absolute certainty. By noon today, his lawyers will receive a counterfiling. Full documentation of his abandonment, fraudulent child support claims, and a few other interesting discoveries about his finances that I'm sure the tax authorities would love to review. You'd do that? For us? All three of them looked at me like I'd asked if the sky was blue. Yes, Seo Jun said simply. Always. A sound from the bedroom. Min-jae was awake. Mama? His sleepy voice called out. I'm here, baby. He patted out in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes. Then he saw the alphas and his whole face lit up. Apis, you came back. He ran straight to Taehyun, who caught him easily, lifting him up. We came back, Taehyun confirmed, his voice thick with emotion. We'll always come back. Are you staying for breakfast? Mama makes really good ramyeon. The three alphas looked at me, question clear in their eyes. I should say no. Should maintain boundaries. Should protect my heart from the inevitable hurt. But looking at Min-jae's hopeful face, at three alphas who dropped everything to help us, at the choice I'd been given, really given, not forced, I realized something. I was tired of running. Tired of surviving. Tired of pretending I could do this alone. They can stay, I said quietly. If they want to. We want to, Seo Jun said immediately. Breakfast was chaos. My kitchen was too small for 4 adults and a child. We kept bumping into each other, apologizing, laughing. Junwoo somehow made instant ramyeon taste gourmet. Taehyun taught Min-jae how to crack eggs without getting shell everywhere. Seo Jun stood close to me. Not touching, just present. I'm sorry, I said quietly, while Min-jae was distracted. For last night, for assuming the worst. You had reason to, Seo Jun replied. We should have been clearer, should have anticipated how that would sound. I was scared, I admitted. I'm still scared. Of us? Of this. Of believing in something that feels too good to be true. Of letting Min-jae get attached and then losing you. You won't lose us, he promised. But I understand fear. Take whatever time you need, we're not going anywhere. After breakfast, Junwoo's phone rang. He stepped away, speaking in rapid professional Korean. When he returned, he was smiling. Min-jae's lawyers withdrew the custody threat. Apparently, their client failed to mention several key facts about his involvement or lack thereof in Min-jae's life. They've agreed to settle the child support claim out of court. Full amount plus interest. Relief crashed over me so hard I had to sit down. It's over? I whispered. It's over, Junwoo confirmed. How much? I started to ask about legal fees. Already handled. Seo Jun cut me off. And before you argue, consider it payment for the 3 years of hell he put you through. I should argue. Should insist on paying them back. But I was too tired. Too grateful. Too overwhelmed. Thank you. I said instead. For everything. For helping. For coming. For. My voice cracked. For not giving up on us. Never. Taehyun said firmly. Min-jae chose that moment to climb into my lap, snuggling close. Mama, can the Apis stay forever? 4 weeks ago, I would have said no immediately. Would have protected us both from the possibility of attachment and loss. But 4 weeks ago, I hadn't met 3 alphas who looked at my son like he was the son. Who fought for us without asking for anything in return. Who gave me choice, real choice, even when it hurt them. Would you want that? I asked Min-jae softly. If the Apis stayed? Yes, he bounced excitedly. Then we'd be a real family, like in my drawing. I looked up at the 3 of them, standing in my tiny kitchen, looking completely out of place and somehow perfectly right. I can't promise anything, I said honestly. I'm still scared, still healing, still figuring out what I want. That's okay, Seo Jun said. But maybe I took a breath. Maybe we could try? Slowly? See if this could actually work? The relief on their faces was almost painful to see. Slowly, Seo Jun agreed. Whatever pace you need. And if it doesn't work, then we'll handle it like adults, Junwoo promised. But Jiwoo? It's going to work. How do you know? Taehyun smiled. Because you're already home. You just haven't realized it yet. Over the next 3 weeks, They proved him right. They didn't push, didn't demand, just showed up. Every morning, coffee appeared at my cafe job, always my exact order. Every evening, dinner was delivered, always enough for two, always Minjae's favorites. Every weekend they asked permission before taking us somewhere new. The zoo. The aquarium. A park in Namsan where Minjae could run and play while I finally rested. They learned Minjae's favorite stories. His fear of thunder. The way he only ate triangle kimbap, never round. They learned my coffee order. My work schedule. The way I couldn't sleep without checking on Minjae 3 times. They never once mentioned the bond. Never pressured. Never pushed for more than I was ready to give. And slowly, so slowly I didn't realize it was happening, my walls came down. I started texting them first. Started looking forward to their calls. Started believing that, maybe, just maybe, this could be real. For weeks after that terrible night, Seo-jun asked if they could take us somewhere special. Where, I asked. It's a surprise. But you'll like it. Trust me. And I realized I did trust him. Trusted all of them. We drove for an hour outside Seoul, Minjae chattering happily in the back seat. When we finally stopped, I gasped. A house, not a mansion, not a penthouse, just a beautiful, normal house with a yard and trees and space for a child to play. What is this? I breathed. Ours. Taehyun said softly. If you want it. We bought it last week. Put it in Minjae's name. No matter what happens between us, it's his. A place where he can always be safe. Tears burned my eyes. You bought him a house? We bought our pup a home, Junwoo corrected. Because he deserves one. Because you both deserve stability. Minjae was already running through the yard, laughing, free. There's 4 bedrooms. Seo-jun said quietly. 1 for Minjae, 1 for you. And 2 guest rooms. No pressure. No expectations. Just space. For whatever you decide. I turned to look at him. At all 3 of them. What if I decide I want you? The words came out before I could stop them. What if I'm ready to try? Really try? Hope blazed across their faces. Then we'd be honored, Seo-jun said roughly. And the bond? I asked. What about that? Happens naturally, Taehyun explained. When you're ready. When you accept us fully. It's not something we do to you, it's something we build together. And if I'm never ready? Then we love you anyway, Junwoo said simply. Bond or no bond. Fate or no fate. We choose you. Every day. We'll keep choosing you. I looked at Minjae, playing in his yard. At the home they'd built for him. At 3 alphas who'd proven, over and over, that they meant every word. And I made my choice. I'm ready. I whispered. The world shifted. I felt it, the bond snapping into place like puzzle pieces finally finding their fit. Their sense wrapped around me, comforting and right. My omega nature, suppressed for so long, finally relaxed. Finally home. Seo-jun pulled me close, his forehead against mine. Ours, he breathed. Ours. Taehyun agreed, his hand on my back. Finally, Junwoo whispered. Minjae ran back to us, crashing into the group hug. Family, he declared. We're a family now. Yeah, pup. Seo-jun said, his voice thick. We're a family. And for the first time in 3 years, I believed in forever. 6 months later. The house was chaos. Beautiful, loud, perfect chaos. Minjae's 5th birthday party filled every room with laughter. His friends from his new school, the one near our house, the one where he didn't have to worry about money or food or anything except being a kid, ran screaming through the yard. I stood in the kitchen, decorating the cake, when arms wrapped around my waist from behind. You're supposed to be watching the kids, I said, but I was smiling. Taehyun's got them, Seo-jun murmured against my neck. I wanted to check on you. I'm fine. Better than fine. You are, he agreed. You're happy. I turned in his arms to face him. I am. Terrifyingly happy. Terrifying? Because I keep waiting for it to end, for something to go wrong. It won't, he promised. We've got you. Always. The doorbell rang. I'll get it, Junwoo called. Moments later, he appeared in the kitchen doorway, his face strange. Jiwoo? There's someone here to see you. Who? He stepped aside. and my breath stopped. Because standing in my doorway, looking older and tired and desperate, was someone I never thought I'd see again. My father. Jiwoo, he said quietly. Please. I need to talk to you. Behind him, I could see my mother. My brother. The family that had rejected me. Thrown me out, told me I'd brought shame to their name. The family that had abandoned me when I needed them most. Seo Jun's arms tightened around me protectively. Taehyun appeared at my other side. Junwoo blocked the doorway, his expression cold. My father's eyes traveled over the three alphas, the beautiful house, the party happening in the yard. I was wrong, he said, and his voice cracked. We were wrong, about everything. And he looked at me with tears in his eyes. I want to meet my grandson. The cake knife trembled in my hand. After 3 years of silence, they wanted back in. And I had no idea what to say. My hands shook as I stared at the man who'd thrown me away. Seo Jun's chest rumbled against my back, a warning growl meant only for my father. You need to leave, Taehyun said, his voice deadly calm. Please, my father's voice cracked. Just 5 minutes. You had 3 years of minutes, I heard myself say. My voice came out steady, cold. Nothing like the broken omega he'd cast out. You had every minute of my pregnancy, every minute of Minjae's life. And you chose to spend them pretending we didn't exist. I know. I was wrong. You don't get to be wrong. I interrupted, stepping forward out of Seo Jun's arms. You don't get to show up at my son's birthday party and ask for forgiveness because you finally realized what you threw away. My mother stepped forward, tears streaming. Jiwoo, please. But I wasn't done. You called me a disgrace, I continued, my voice rising. You said I brought shame to the family, that I was selfish for keeping my baby, and now you want what? To be grandparents? To pretend the last 3 years never happened? From the yard, Minjae's laughter rang out pure and joyful, and completely unaware of the family that had rejected him before he was born. That child, I pointed toward the sound, learned to walk without you, said his first words without you, survived poverty and fear and instability because you weren't there. And he's perfect. He's absolutely perfect. And you missed all of it. Let us fix it, my brother spoke for the first time. Please. Let us be family again. Something in my chest twisted. Because despite everything, despite the hurt and abandonment and years of silence, they were still my family. And part of me wanted to forgive them. Wanted Minjae to know his grandparents. Wanted to believe people could change. But another part, the part that had been broken and rebuilt stronger, knew better. Knew that some things, once broken, could never be the same. I opened my mouth to tell them to leave. To protect my son from people who might hurt him the way they'd hurt me. But before I could speak, Mama? I turned. Minjae stood in the doorway, his party hat crooked, chocolate on his face, looking between me and the strangers with curious eyes. Who are they? Everyone froze. My father's face crumpled as he looked at his grandson for the first time. My mother made a sound like a sob. And I realized this wasn't my choice alone anymore. This was Minjae's story too. And whatever I decided in the next 10 seconds would shape his understanding of family, forgiveness, and whether people who hurt you deserved second chances. I looked at Seo Jun, at Taehyun, at Junwoo. My pack. My family. The ones who'd chosen us when it mattered. Then I looked at my parents. At the regret and desperation and genuine pain in their eyes. And I made my choice. Minjae, I said slowly. These people. But I never finished that sentence. Because my father dropped to his knees, and through tears, whispered the words I'd waited 3 years to hear. I'm sorry. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as can ever imagine. So do check it out. If that ending wrecked you, hit subscribe. The next chapter drops soon.